We know that people love their meat. Trust me, I was born and raised in Mexico. My background, my culture is all around meat consumption. And so I understand how you feel, and I understand that, the majority of people, that's how they were raised. We in the food industry need to continue to innovate and make food in a sustainable way that people will like, that's affordable, that's accessible, so that it's actually easier and not burdensome or financially detrimental for people to actually make those choices. Our goal is to actually become, cost comparative with chicken or even cheaper than that. Right.
Welcome, people, back to the Creekcast. Nearing the end of the season, but we're ending strong. We have another very special guest that has decided to join us on this episode. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk about the future of food. My name is Doni Curkendall, and I'm Executive Vice President here at the BetterMeat Co. We're a B2B food technology company, and we use fermentation technology to make protein ingredients that can be used either to blend with meat or to create fully plant-based meat alternatives. And I'm excited to tell you guys all about it.
Yeah, I'm sure the people, and especially us, are very excited to hear about it. I especially am very passionate about the topic because I don't know, the whole idea seems genius from a certain standpoint. But before we do anything, we'll break into our ad break. A few seconds. Remember, anything that we gain, it's going to charities. It's not going to ourselves. So keep on listening, and we'll see you in 2 seconds.
Thank you for listening to the little ad break, unless you skipped it, in which case we don't thank you. But yeah, let's go straight into it. Starting off with the vision behind the BetterMeat and kind of the values that represent it.
Absolutely. So we at the BetterMeat Co., we are here to find solutions that will help us reduce our footprint on the planet and to be able to sustainably feed humanity into the future for generations to come. And we want to do that through what we call our food print. So, projections show that there's going to be, 9 to 10 billion people on this planet by 2050, which only means that demand for food is going to go up. So we know right now, at least, that per capita meat consumption is going up. It's not going down.
Yeah.
So we expect that to continue into the future, especially as, nations like Mexico, China, India become increasingly wealthy. And as that wealth increases, they tend to adopt a more meat-rich diet. In America alone, we raise and slaughter 9 billion animals for food every year, which is extremely detrimental to the environment. We know, thanks to the UN, that animal agriculture contributes more greenhouse gas emissions than all of the global transportation sector combined, which is staggering.
Yeah.
And then in its recent report, actually from, I think it was last week, the report was called Preventing the Next Pandemic, and they cited meat consumption related activities as the top 3 likely contributors of the next pandemic. And having been through what we've been through, we understand what that feels like, and it could only, get worse.
Yeah.
And actually the number 1 cause is increasing demand for animal protein. So we here at the Better Company understand that we just don't have much time to rectify that damage that has been done. And so we're working hard. We work at high speeds, and we want to find solutions to these problems that are directly tied to what we're eating, which is meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know of the topic, which is not a lot, but I've done a little research, is that one of the main problems is, as always, water. Like, actual drinkable water is just not as common as any other kind of water, and we're running out. Especially here in Mexico City, we're estimated to lose all of our water by 20 years approximated time. And and like also cities like Tokyo are simply not getting enough water now. And most of our water is not actually going to humans, it's going to feed just livestock. And it's not only detrimental to the environment, but it's also counterproductive to our own survival. So I don't even remember how many gallons of water or how much food there needs to be to feed a full-grown cow, to milk it and then slaughter it. Like all of that, all of those resources, time and energy, could be going to any other kind of food production. But the main problem that I find with the entirety of, well, let's say going vegan or going vegetarian, is that most people are really accustomed to meat in general.
Yes.
I think here in the Creekcast, both Masa and me are neither of those. We love meat. I personally couldn't live without meat. Like most of my favorite foods are meat. So I think one of the main appeals of the entire, well, what you're doing is that there's an alternative that not only can replace meat by just being healthier. Well, it's not healthy, as I recall. It's not exactly the healthiest option because it's still trying to replicate meat. But
Right.
it's a more ethical and just in general practical and environmentally better suited way to consume things. So I think the main question that I want to ask right now is, do you try to replicate just the taste of the meat or the entire texture, or what's the deal there?
Okay, so I have really good news for you. You can survive without meat. So please don't think that you can't.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's the problem. We know that meat consumption. We know that people love their meat. Trust me, I was born and raised in Mexico. My background, my culture is all around meat consumption. And so I understand how you feel, and I understand that, the majority of people, that's how they were raised. We were raised eating meat. But what we're trying to do is not convince people to become vegan, to convince people to become vegetarian. What we're trying to do is create more options for people like us. We're trying to create an option that's not just replicating meat, but actually, people want that meat experience. So we want to replicate the meat experience, but we're actually creating a product that not only tastes like meat, sometimes it tastes even better, but it's also better for you. So and we can talk about, I'm happy to talk about our products specifically, but we are creating products that are high in protein, that are rich in fiber, in potassium, and iron, all of the things that you need, that is naturally containing B12. It's not only just replicating meat, it's actually better than meat, but still gives you that meat-like texture and that meat experience that is what you crave. So exactly like you just explained.
Let me get this straight. So it's equal flavor, same texture, and general grilling experience, and even healthier.
That's right.
Then, okay. Because we're not doing a promo here. I just want to get it straight, because I'm a little cynical and critical of this kind of stuff because, well, let's be honest, this is like life-changing. This is the actual future. Like as much as you want to go about going climate change, like protesting and doing all those kind of stuff, what better way to go to the root of the problem than changing what we eat? And that's why I admire all the vegetarian people and people who are vegetarian, because they have more willpower than I will ever have, because I don't see myself becoming none of those anytime soon. So this is changing the root of one of the main problems that we have today in society. So you can be honest with us right now. We cut this part if you don't want to answer. But does it really taste like meat, or is there a difference, or is it unnoticeable?
So here's what I'll explain. We make ingredients. So we're not actually, the BetterMeat Co. is not making finished products.
Okay.
So we're not actually making that finished product. I think it's important to explain how meat alternatives are made so that I can kind of focus on how we are different from that.
Yeah,
for sure.
So if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, perfect.
So most plant-based meats today are either based on wheat, soy, or peas. So in order for them to be able to do that, you have to make that more meaty. So the process to turn it into more of a meat-like product is pretty intensive. Not only do you have to grow, let's say, that field of peas, you then have to take that, mill them into a powder, separate out the fiber, take out the fat, concentrate it into a protein, and then it goes through a process called extrusion. The extrusion process is what helps create that soy or pea or whatever into a more of a meat-like texture with higher protein content. Many companies are using this method. You've probably eaten some of the Beyond, Impossible, some of these awesome products, and they're great. I enjoy them myself. I hope people continue to eat them. But the challenge with those protein isolates is that they still require a lot of resources to make. Water, all of that. They also have a very strong taste, and that taste is very hard to mask. And honestly, they're just simply not meaty enough. They don't create that texture that you like to eat when you have, a steak or a burger or something like that. What we are working on is on a new way to produce protein. We've been working on this for, over 3 years. And we take common ingredients like potatoes, high starchy foods. We subject them to a liquid state fermentation. And in less than 1 day, our microflora, which are fungi, they eat the starch and convert it into a whole food that, as I mentioned, is higher, it's high in protein, it's rich in fiber, it contains iron, potassium, it naturally contains B12, and it naturally has a meat-like texture thanks to that protein. So because of that high protein content, it actually has those fibers. And so you can take straight out of the fermenter, all we do is kind of squeeze out the water. And we have pictures on our website. I'd love for you guys to check those out. But you can actually pull apart that mycelium product, that product that comes out of the fermenter, and you can see it looks like shredded chicken, basically.
Wow.
Because of that beautiful fiber. Now, that product itself is very neutral in color and neutral in flavor, which means that we can manipulate it further, with research and development, to create a very, very meaty product. So we can always flavor it with natural flavors. We can add a little bit of, oil and fat and fibers and other things that then create an end product that, yes, I'm not lying to you, creates a very delicious product that in many of our taste testings has actually outperformed solely meat products. I'll also give you another example. One of our customers, Purdue Farms, who is becoming a leader and has become a leader in the sustainability effort from meat companies, they sell a product called Chicken Plus, and they have frozen chicken nuggets and chicken patties. They use our ingredients, and this is more of our classic ingredients that are actually based on pea, but they use those ingredients in a chicken nugget and chicken patty that is actually only 50% meat. Only 50% animal meat, and the rest, the other 50%, is plant-based protein. And they actually, in 2020, Food Network actually rated it the #1 best tasting chicken nugget on the market.
Wow, I mean,
that tells you so much right there.
That's okay. Wow, that's a lot of information. At first, the whole process is something to behold.
Especially for somebody that is a passionate fan of science.
I'm the science guy of the crew, so
that's
sounds
very
fascinating.
Interesting.
Well, we'd love to have you over sometime. I'd love to show
definitely.
reactors, and you kind of get to see the process.
It's so much
like
fun.
Magic, but science.
We'll keep in touch then, because that actually sounds amazing. So wow. I mean, those were my main questions, since I'm, like I said, pretty critical of this, because it is the future of humanity in general. It's not even a question. It's not like, it might work, it might not. No, I mean, you already said like 50% less meat. That's half the animal being slaughtered. I think that's a huge step, because not only are people, because the main thing with people who still eat meat, which is basically the grand majority of the planet, is that it's not that we think that it's okay to eat an animal. It's like, well, some people do. So some people say that, oh yeah, natural selection, it's survival of the fittest. But it's just, we know that animal factories in general and most farms are just plain
Slaughterhouse.
on torture.
Yeah.
Like nothing short of it. Like
Yeah.
it's awful. I remember even in like 6th grade, our geography teacher decided to like educate us on how the world works in general, and he put us a video of a documentary that's called, I think, From the Farm to Your Fridge or something like that, and it's just very real, raw, not censored images of how this entire economy works, and it's not pretty. And ever since then, I feel kind of guilty eating meat, but I don't think the guilt overwhelms the sheer just flavory and goodness of meat.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's not only because you can always go and say how morally superior people who are vegans and are, but that's not what gets to people. You don't get
No.
to people saying it's
Mhm.
morally correct, because if it tastes good, if it's okay, if they're eating the meat their entire lives and they have somewhat of a firm belief and argument to hold that, then you're not going anywhere. So tackling directly, not only making it, because there used to be thousands of millions of products that claim to be, oh, it's even better than
organic.
meat. Yeah, and it's just like tofu on bread, and it's like, this ain't meat.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I agree. I don't think that the problem is that people don't know where their food comes from, or that they don't understand the slaughter process, or it's not that people don't know how many resources are required for animal agriculture. I think what it is that people don't know is that there is technology out there that can help us improve the way in which we produce food, and hopefully that new technology will render the old ways of producing food obsolete.
Yeah.
So, there are many incredible companies out there who are creating brand new technologies, or even using, old methods and creating their own to make food in a sustainable manner. And it seems to me, just from my experience in talking to meat companies and other big companies, they want to move forward in that direction. So, food technology advancements should be a focus when addressing global issues. And it's not really, like you said, because people don't know. They do know. They just need the option. I also think that, these companies have such a great opportunity to make a huge change and be leaders in this. And so while I think that it's great that some people are vegan and some people are vegetarian, we can't expect everybody to change their lifestyle. But what I do know is that I think that we should celebrate when people do try to make an effort. If let's say you participate in Meatless Mondays, or let's say that you do only meat on the weekdays, and then you choose a completely plant-based diet on the weekends, or you have your family over for a fully plant-based meal. Whatever it is, celebrate it, encourage it, no matter what. I don't think that, anybody is better than anybody else. It's easier nowadays to participate in those types of activities. For example, I find that I like to go to discount grocery stores. There's one called Grocery Outlet here in Sacramento. They have tons of meat alternatives and plant-based products that they sell at a discount price. So it's actually, more accessible to the general public. And so people can actually participate in these activities and try to put their part in helping to reduce, emissions and helping to save our planet, because we really just don't have that much time. But yeah, the more options we have for people and the more accessible they become, I think that's what's important, and that's what's going to help our planet survive.
Yeah, I mean, that actually leads into what I kind of want to ask, because there's also this side of the debate where, people question how much of a privilege it is to be able to eat plant-based or be able to go vegan. And I mean, obviously, it isn't necessarily that the people who don't have the resources are the ones causing the biggest CO2 in the air and all these emissions and all the problems that are happening with climate change. But it definitely is a question of how much of a privilege it is to adopt this kind of lifestyle as a person, and I guess as a brand, how much big companies, how much is it saving them? Is it saving them anything? Because I mean, we've learned a lot through the time of history that greed is very persistent, and so yeah, I mean, just the privilege, like what layers are it on the personal and company based?
I truly believe that what makes us privileged is the ability to be on this earth and take its resources. That's the privilege that we have. The options that we have to make decisions about what we eat, to make decisions about how we make that food, that also is a privilege that we have. So we in the food industry need to continue to innovate and make food in a sustainable way that people will like, that's affordable, that's accessible, so that it's actually easier and not burdensome or financially detrimental for people to actually make those choices. And the food industry right now has so much power and so much influence on people's behavior. So I do think that there's a responsibility there for them to provide that and have choices, whether it's blended meat, whether it's fully plant-based products, whether it's just adopting a technology that doesn't require, so much land, so many resources. And I think the focus needs to be on helping advance those technologies. There are so many companies already doing that. And there's only opportunity to move forward.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two major factors here. First off, I think this isn't a maybe it will work, maybe the industries will go into this direction. There's no maybes in this. As we already talked, the way that we produce meat is not sustainable at all. We're at the end of the runway. There's no more space, period. The amount of space that they need and water and resources, it's starting to become not profitable. And I think this is the very first time here we talk in the Creekcast of a actual problem that also aligns with economic interests. And economic interest, it's basically what drives the world. So I think this is straight up.
And it has a blatant solution as well. I mean, the problem, I think, is mainly how mainstream it'll become. And more than anything, of a matter of when, because as you said, time is just like it's basically gone at this point. We're trying to catch up, and the faster it becomes something mainstream and it becomes something that you see in every supermarket all around the world, in every city, that's when it can ultimately kind of establish itself as a real option and alternative for people. Because otherwise, I feel like on a mental level, to a lot of people, seeing the whole corridor of meat and then seeing the meat, like the plant-based option, people will direct their attention towards the meat.
Yeah, there's already this bias of, plant-based meat, yuck. But no. And I think one of those stigmas that I'm not entirely sure that it's still around is the price compared usually to normal meat, to plant-based meat. Normal meat usually is the lower one, like by quite a lot compared to other plant-based. So I don't want to go in and seem like I'm attacking you or what you stand
not
for.
At all.
But I wanted to ask, is there a price difference, like at all?
So I have more good news for you. Right now we are at a demonstration scale level. So we are making we're making this product at a cost that is similar to beef. However, Our goal is to get cheaper than chicken. Chicken is the most efficiently produced type of meat, and that's why it's so cheap. And we want to get to that point. We are not there yet.
Okay.
But as we continue to move forward, and we are actually currently in the process of planning out our larger scale facility, where we will actually be able to produce millions of pounds with ingredients that we will constantly try to reduce the price for. But yes, our goal is to actually become, cost comparative with chicken or even cheaper than that. Right now, we are actually cost comparative with beef.
Okay, so thanks for being like straight with us from that. Like, yeah, we'll get it. It's an honest answer.
Yeah.
So we're there in terms of it's basically the exact same or around the price of meat.
Yeah.
But we still have ways to go regarding going as cheap as chicken.
Yeah.
Is what I'm understanding.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of improvement that we need to make, a lot of technology, a lot of, scaling up is really what our next challenge is actually scaling up. Like I mentioned, we've built out a demonstration scale facility. We're able to produce, a lot of our product, but obviously with such smaller amounts, we can't cost effectively, produce that much. But yes, scaling up is really where the secret lies in becoming more cost efficient. We understand, as you mentioned earlier, our planet isn't getting any bigger. We're not going to find any more land magically. We're not going to create more resources, but our population is going to continue to grow. So our technological advances are going to have to move very, very quickly. I want to definitely highlight some other work that other companies are doing, such as, cell-based or cultured meat. Those types of technologies are pretty incredible. They're actually growing meat from animal cells, but it is going to take a long time, for them to actually get to scale. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to address these problems today. How can we try to make a dent today? We will be able to do that by scaling up as quick as we can, which is something we are actively working on. And by working with meat companies who already have that footprint out there, who already have the resources and the research and development and the product development teams to create amazing products, even if they're blended. If that's what we want to do, we think we are totally all for that. As we've proven with the Purdue products, they work really well. People like them. And I think that I find that when I talk to people like my family or friends or just the general public about what we do, people are pretty open to the idea of blending or eating, another alternative, as long as it's going to, meet those demands for taste and texture and all of that. And we are very confident that we can achieve that.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, I think both of us are, coming into this, we're fairly skeptical of kind of, the way that the industry works in that sense. And, sometimes it feels kind of like a white lie that's kind of sheltered by the idea that it's plant-based and that it's a healthier option. But you've convinced me. Like, it just sounds like the future of food is really you guys and all these other brands who are trying to actively make a change with these sciences that, I could never think of, definitely. But yeah, they're just pushing closer and closer. And I'm kind of mind blown at kind of the level to which the organization is at, where, your prices are matching the one at beef, and you're still relatively small compared to what these big companies are. And that's what allows them to really mass produce at these cheap prices. And you guys are up there competing. So yeah, I'm impressed, honestly, and congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to highlight, we it's not like we haven't had our challenges, and we do understand that we have to work with, together with these big companies. Mm-hmm. So it's not just us doing everything on our own. We really are relying on these bigger companies, these meat companies, to really lead their industry in helping to create sustainable products. And we want to be the providers of those ingredients for them so that they can move forward and do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we have our challenges, everything cost more and took longer than we thought it was going to take.
Of
We
course.
realized with the type of fermentation and everything that we do, it requires a lot of capital investment. And we actually, the timing of our build out actually happened right as COVID hit pretty hard. So we were very negatively affected, but thankfully we were able to make it through. Instead of laying off people, we actually hired several people during the pandemic, and we just worked really hard and continued the build out. And so we have a long ways to go. I know that we're going to face more challenges, but we're dedicated to, providing products and expanding our research so that we can get these ingredients into people's stomachs. We are running against time, and for us, time is of the essence. And whether it's meat companies that want to work with us or plant-based companies that want to work with us, we're open to it. We would be so excited, and we are open to any opportunities we can to make this happen.
Yeah, and I guess as to start closing off, kind of looking towards the future, what would you say the company pictures as 3 main future goals to which, they're very tangible and can be achieved?
Sure. So number one is we're actually in the final stages of commissioning our demonstration scale facility, but we're already working on our large scale facility. So number one, we want to actually build out that larger scale facility from which we'll be able to produce millions of pounds of what we call rhiza a year in a cost-effective manner. Number two, we want to create impactful relationships with large companies throughout the world, whether they're meat companies or plant-based companies. And we want to help them create delicious, affordable, and accessible products that don't rely on resource-intensive methods or, less animal slaughter than they do now. And number three, we want to expand and build facilities globally. This isn't just something that is a problem here in the United States. It's all around the world. So like I mentioned earlier, the faster we can get these products out, the better.
Yeah, I mean, running against the clock, I was going to say it's only a matter of time, but kind of the one thing we don't have.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, it is impressive. Like, I think we're both kind of starstruck at just the science and the place you're already at. I mean, it's kind of like you're building that bridge between the big bad companies of meat and the green plant-based companies. You're kind of trying to close that, and you're admitting yourself, like you wouldn't be there without the help of the big bad companies per se. So it shows that there really is a spectrum in that sense as well.
Yeah, we see them, we see a synergy, we want everyone to come together. We all have a responsibility, as I mentioned earlier. And, if a company has a resource that another company doesn't have, why not join together and work together to fix that and make it easier for everybody?
Yeah, I mean,
of course.
I think greed is the answer to that. But hey, I mean, bridging out this very important work that humanity needs, not even a question of who might benefit from it. Everyone's going to benefit from
it really is the title, The Future of Food. Like, I'm just going to have to erase the question mark because it really just isn't a question by this point.
Yeah, I mean, leading up with the big three, to you personally, or the company, or whoever, who was your biggest inspiration, both either personal life or professional life?
I definitely personally, my biggest inspiration is my mom. She is a strong Mexican woman who has the most unparalleled work ethic of anyone I have ever met. And she has always, throughout my life, stressed to me that I should always be passionate about what I do in my work, and that I should always, through my work, find ways to give back. So, I look to her for everything. She's my best friend. I'm so grateful to have her in my life. She is truly my greatest inspiration in life. But in relation to what we're discussing today, I would say that a great source of inspiration for me are people like you guys, student activists, young people who are highlighting and addressing the problems that we're facing and being honest with themselves. You know, I'm a meat eater, but I understand that there's a problem. So what can I do to make it better? What can I do to contribute to the solution? You know, here at the BetterMeat Co, we want to find ways to sustainably feed our future generations and beyond, you know, and the work that activists such as you guys and other activist groups and you know, youth student groups do is going to be so essential. And I hope that a lot of you guys go on to become entrepreneurs and start companies like ours, or they join companies like ours or like others that are doing amazing things. Yeah. You know, it's easy right now to feel disillusioned and honestly depressed about the state of the world. I'm just going to be honest. But there is hope, and there are incredible people, amazing companies that are doing this work every day. And we should support them. We should highlight them. And I'm grateful to you guys that you are taking the time to talk about what we do here at the BetterMeat Co. And hopefully, you know, you'll get to talk to a lot more people and companies that are doing, you know, very similar things to try to save our planet.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we've seen. You know, what you just said there is kind of encapsulates what we've experienced throughout most of this season, where just very negative thoughts and just depressing realities, but at the same time, we're talking with all these people who are actively changing the world, and you know, it's people we never really heard about, people who are not highlighted in the news or just constantly receiving the applause. You know, they're just behind the scenes and putting in the groundwork. So yeah, I mean, congratulations, really applaud that.
Thank you so much. You know, and it really doesn't take a special type of knowledge. You know, many people who are entrepreneurs in this space, including myself, don't come from the food industry. I came from the nonprofit industry. So when I joined this company, I knew nothing about food or how it's produced, or, you know, I really didn't know anything. So don't be afraid to jump in and just learn it. And, you know, as long as you have that motivation, you can do anything that you want.
Yeah.
I mean, and great answers all around. I would say with our final question of the day to wrap up this incredible episode is, what mark do you want to leave in this world?
Oh my gosh, so much. I feel so lucky to be alive and have the opportunities that I've had in my life. I feel very, very lucky. So I want to do something impactful that actually justifies my existence. And I want to ensure, I guess, mainly that future generations can look back on us as a team, as a group, with pride and say, you know, here's what these people did to save our planet and to ensure that future generations can continue to enjoy it. I'm a huge lover of nature. I love the mountains. I love swimming in lakes. I love being outside. And I can't tell you how sad I am to see the Sierra Nevada mountains burning up. I can't go there on the weekends anymore, you know, and that's my safe place. That's where I decompress, and that's what I like to do. And I can't do that. I don't want that for our future generations. So I'm hoping that I can save that for them.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I think the most common answer here is, I think it's trying to help other people with your work. I mean, very easily you could have said, I don't care. I mean, as long as I live a happy life, I'm fine. Which most people would say, it's not, I don't blame them. It's cool to try just to aim for a happy life. But aiming for a happy life for others, that's special.
Yeah.
So, again, I think great episode all around.
Yeah, a great way to finish this episode.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
It's honestly been a pleasure. Very enlightening talking to you.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, dear listener, for listening or watching. We're going to put links in the description for the BetterMeat Co. So check it all out. And
Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, as you know. And I mean, great all around. Very happy to have met you, and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah,
Likewise, please do, please do. We'd love to have you guys sometime. So,
of course.
you said you're in Mexico City?
Yes, we are both Mexican.
Oh, okay, yo también. Acabo de estar ahí.
Oh,
Good.
Sí.
Hey, but our
Coyoacán.
audience is it's mainly
Oh,
English
sorry,
speaking.
still live.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Great,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, come visit us anytime.
for sure.
Thank you very much. I'll definitely check it out. Seems very interesting. So, again, thanks to your listener for keeping up with all these episodes. Means a lot. Be wary of Beat Size coming on to Friday. And yeah, see you on the next one.
Creak you later.
Creak you later.